Welcome fight fans to my channel. This is Johnny, and today we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning the upcoming championship fight between Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin. Guys, we're a few days removed from the 135-pound IBF championship fight between Lomachenko and George Kambosos. The reason why I reference that is because since Loma's dominant victory over George, a lot of fighters have called Loma out. One in particular that has caught the interest of fight fans around the world, and that is Tank Davis. He tweeted immediately that he was going to handle business on June 15th first against Frank Martin and then fight Vasily Lomachenko. Will that go down? Will that happen? I'm not really too sure. In this video, what we're gonna do is break down that upcoming WBA title fight at 135 pounds this June 15th with Tank versus Frank. We're gonna compare and contrast both fighters, talk a little bit about what they've been up to in terms of their resume, and see if we can find any disadvantages or advantages on one side or the other. And at the very end, like always, I'm gonna ask you guys your opinion, who you're going for, and who do you think is gonna win that fight, Gervonta or Frank Martin. Now let's take a closer look at Frank Martin. Frank Martin is 18-0 with 12 knockouts, giving him a 67% career knockout to win ratio. He's currently ranked number 6th in the world in the lightweight division. That's 135 pounds. The 29-year-old is an American southpaw standing at 5'8" with a 68-inch reach, and his fans call him the Ghost. He's taking on Tank June 15th for Tank's WBA strap. His last fight was against Artem Harutyunyan, who was 12-0, UD in the 12th. Michael Rivera, 24-0, UD in the 12th. Jackson Marinez, 19-2, knockout in the 10th. Romero Duno, 24-2, knockout in the 4th. Ryan Kilcheski, 30-5, UD in the 10th. Guys, and when we talk about Frank Martin, we talk about a fighter who didn't get into boxing until his late teenage years. The reason why I reference that, boxing and all martial arts are usually a sport to where at the highest level, you see a lot of guys fighting for belts who've been doing it since they were kids. We could find footage of Tank Davis as a 7-year-old. All this means is that Frank Martin's a fast learner. He's only 29 years old. He has about a decade of boxing experience. So to see that he's built a career for himself, which has led to this upcoming fight in June, is quite the accomplishment in itself. People in the Frank Martin camp feel that he's been undervalued and underestimated his whole career. He only has 18 pro fights. His 12 knockouts really don't stand out on the page, but when you look at the earlier part of his career, he was knocking everybody out. Then he started winning by decisions, and you see this happen a lot in boxing. When the competition gets stiffer, you start seeing fighters who once were knockout artists figure out other ways to win, and that's another notch in Frank Martin's belt. He's known to have a high fight IQ. The southpaw is slick, and this is why this is a very interesting fight for myself and a lot of fight fans to see how he can handle Tank Davis, and is that step up in competition going to be too much for Frank? Now let's take a closer look at Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is 29-0 with 27 knockouts. He has a career 93% knockout to win ratio. The American southpaw stands at 5'5" with a 67-inch reach, and he's currently the WBA World Lightweight Champion. His fans call him Tank. By the time he fights Frank Martin, his last fight would have been over 14 months ago against Ryan Garcia. Garcia was 23-0. Tank knocked him out in the 7th. He then fought Hector Garcia, who was 16-0. Tank knocked him out in the 9th. Rolly Romero was 14-0. Tank knocked him out in the 6th. Pitbull Cruz was 22-1. Tank decisioned him in the 12th. Mario Barrios was undefeated. Tank knocked him out in the 11th. We know what Tank's game plan is. We know about the versatility of skill set. We've seen him be a brawler at times. We've seen him be a counterboxer at times. But all in all, with 27 out of 29 wins coming by knockout, that is his path to victory. We know he goes for it. We know about those gorgeous uppercuts. In my opinion, one of the prettiest punches I've seen in the last 10 years was the uppercut he landed against Leo Santa Cruz. Tank also has an uncanny ability to fight undefeated fighters and take their O. This coming June, he's going to have another opportunity. Frank Martin is undefeated. Tank Davis is undefeated. When you look at both fighters side by side, nothing too much jumps off the page. Frank is going to have the height advantage. They're both southpaws. Gervonta Davis's resume speaks for itself. There's no way Frank's resume could even hold a candle to Tank's resume. So when you talk about experience, ring experience, championship experience, all that lies on Tank Davis. What this is going to come down to is, will Frank Martin be able to handle the pressure? Will he be able to implement a game plan against Tank? And we all know when a fighter has to prepare for a guy with knockout power. That comes into the equation of the game plan. So another important question is, when Frank's plan A doesn't go to fruition, will he be able to have a plan B? A lot of times that's what happens in these fights. A fighter will go after their fight camp game plan, and then throughout the fight, more often than not, the ones who are able to make adjustments when things aren't going their way, mid-fight, when all the chaos is happening, are usually the ones who win, who become great world champions. That'll be the narrative going into this fight. Will Frank be able to figure out Tank, and how quick will it take Tank to figure out Frank? All in all, when this goes down June 15th, the strap will be on the line, WBA 135. Who you going for? Gervonta Davis, or will we see an upset with Frank Martin? Let me know in the comment section below.